Good afternoon and welcome to the wilderness of Site B. Here on a small island off the coast of Costa Rica, it is I, the OGGM, with your afternoon dose of news. Apparently, safety tools are a thing again. I thought we were over this, but I guess somehow it came up again because there's a couple videos floating around about it. Some people are pro safety tools. Some people think safety tools are stupid. I've had personal experience on safety tools. I've had stories told to me about safety tools. I'm well aware of the whole fair Verona bullshit, and my opinion of it is well stated. Don't need to go over it again. So why is safety tools a thing again? I don't know. There's a rumor going around that apparently people are upset by the word dungeon master and want to change it to dungeon runner or game runner because they are offended by the word master. Random art is random. And its association with, slavery. Except, of course, the word master existed before slavery ever happened, and the word master has been used throughout the world after. For example, master degree. Somebody has a master degree in, psychology. Are they suddenly now offensive? What about Obi-Wan? Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Master Jedi. Is he now offensive? What about, a master blacksmith who has an apprentice blacksmith? And that's now an offensive word. We have to change the name. What am I going to call myself with my master's degree now? Oh, I don't have a master's degree because that's offensive. I have a bachelor's degree times 2. Oh wait, the word bachelor might be offensive to someone. So I graduated from college twice degree. Oh, degree is offensive. College is offensive. Words are offensive. I'm offended. So, the safety tool thing. I think, I don't know why it's a thing again. I've been exposed to it. I've got 3 stories that I'm going to tell about safety tools, including the time I sort of used a safety tool and how with 3 reactions I received. But, yeah, let's just enjoy the wilderness of Site B for a second. Okay. Now, before we start talking about safety tools and Dungeon Master and whatever else is offending you today, it is 2022. In 2 years, it'll be 2024. In 2 years, our hobby will be 50 years old. For 50 years, we have been playing D&D and all sorts of other role-playing games all over the world and in space. Every country of the world, people have been playing for 50 years. Millions of people have played millions of games of role-playing. And only in the past, 5, 6, 7 years has this safety tools thing come up? Only in the past 5, 6, 7 years people are offended? What about the other 40 some odd years? I mean, all I gotta say is, what kind of sick and twisted stuff are you 5e players up to that in the past 6 years this safety tools idea has come up with? Because apparently the past 40 years the game was fine, nobody complained. But now, oh no, safety tools, I'm offended. My agency, what are you 5e players up to? All right. Let's leave that floating out there, okay? That for the past 6 years we've needed safety tools for something we've been doing for 50 years. What sick, depraved stuff are you 5e players up to that you need safety tools now when we didn't need them for 40 years? All right, story number 1 about a safety tool. This one is 100% true because I saw it, and it is how safety tools were used correctly. Playing at a game, we get to a random encounter. Random encounter was a giant spider. Very calmly, without throwing a fit, one of the players mentions that they are afraid of spiders and are a little uncomfortable because the DM has brought out a giant spider miniature. The DM, without taking a breath, without losing his composure, without being offended, said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know," took away the giant spider miniature and said, "Oh, it's a giant scorpion." Okay? Same stats, same thing, except, you know, I don't have a giant scorpion figure, so I'm just going to use this alligator figure. It's still an arachnid. It's still, you know, the exact same monster, just different name, okay? Instead of a bite, as a sting. Who cares? Moving on. Okay? Simple-handed. The player was grateful. Didn't have a fit. Didn't get up and stomp away. Bam. That is how the correct tools of safety tools should be used. Simple, easy, not stopping the game, simply just going, "Oh, okay, sorry, I'm gonna change this for something that doesn't upset you," and moving on. And the player moved on, thanked the DM at the end. That was it. Session 0, important. Okay, story number 2. This one's a little bit more ridiculous, and I don't know if it's true because it was told to me by someone else. Guy's running a desert-based campaign using all sorts of desert-based encounters. So desert-based, Egyptian-themed, you're gonna run into things like snakes and snake cults. The week before, he tells them they will be heading to the dungeon of the snake cult. They get in, the first thing they see is tons of snake iconography on the walls. There's a statue of a giant snake. It is very clear that this is a snake-themed encounter. They even run into cultists who call themselves cultists of the snake god. There is an encounter with a giant snake. The giant snake crawls up, starts wrapping around one of the player characters, at which point the player character throws a fit. "I'm afraid of snakes. You can't do this to me. You can't have me encounter a giant snake because I'm afraid of snakes. My character can't die." They have a fit. They just stop the game, and the DM, to his credit, as this individual is having a temper tantrum because their character is about to die, calmly says, and I quote, "How did you forget you were afraid of snakes? Because I told you last week you were going to this temple of the snake god. How did you miss the giant snake statue in the front room? Or all the cultists who said they were cultists of the snake god. Only now you remember that you're afraid of snakes when your character's about to be killed by a giant snake? I'm afraid of snakes. I didn't know. Yes, you did. You're playing an X card because you don't like the idea that your character might die. That is the wrong way to resolve the encounter. Now, let me tell you my personal experience with an X card. I was sitting at a table at a game about 2 years ago, 5e. These guys were all safety card. They had the little checklist and everything. I filled out the little thing. I said what didn't, I played by their rules. I sat in their game. I came back for another game, and there was this kid who was just really pushing my buttons, just really being chaotic stupid for the sake of chaotic stupid and doing things to get the party killed. He picked a fight with a hill giant. Very first encounter. There's no way for us to deal with a hill giant. An encounter, he's touching my stuff. He's sticking my hand in his face. He's just, my anxiety was already in a bad place that day because I just received some bad news. So I just calmly said, you know what, I gotta go. I played the, my dog knocked over my lava lamp. No, I was just like, look, I'm not feeling, I gotta go. I played the X card. And then I contacted the DM afterward and explained, look, nothing to you. I just was not uncomfortable. The kid, was touching me, touching my stuff. I asked him to stop. He was still doing so. Rather than have a scene, I just chose to leave. Got lambasted. How dare I play a safety card? How dare I get up and walk away from a game because I was uncomfortable? Now, this was the same people who a week before were all like, safety card, safety card, safety card, you know, X card, until you actually play against them. Then they get upset. It's okay if they can use it, but it's not okay if you can use it. Now, did I blow things out of proportion? No. I felt an anxiety attack coming on. I knew that if I stayed, I would either get angry at the kid or I would make the situation worse, so I chose to leave. I'm an adult. Okay? Now, safety tools. 3 stories. 1 true, 1 I'm not sure. All of which just shows that the safety tools, if used correctly, are fine. But really, it boils down to session 0 and talking about things and common sense. Okay? Just establish all these things at session 0. What players can expect, what they might be uncomfortable with. Well, I'm uncomfortable with getting raped in your game. Okay, I won't have any rape scenes. You know, and common sense. If you're running a game at a convention with a bunch of strangers, there's probably certain things you should consider. If you're running a game for 9-year-olds, there are probably certain things you should consider. Common sense. If you're establishing a campaign with a group of people you know you're going to be running for several sessions, session 0. What upsets you? What do you want to see in the game? Are you afraid of spiders? If I run you through the temple of the snake god, are you going to forget you're afraid of snakes? You know? Does the idea of your character getting ground up into dust upset you? Okay, let's establish the rules, session 0. Now, I will even go 1 further than session 0. Bird. Oh, I love it when I catch it when they're flying away. Okay, I'll go 1 step further. Let's go an idea that a friend of mine, DM Bloodworth, brought up about a year ago when we were talking about safety tools. If somebody comes to your table with a bee in the bonnet about offense and safety tools and consent, simply hand them the rule book for whatever your game you're running, be it Dungeons and Dragons or any of the thousands of OSR clones, be it a superhero game, be it Call of Cthulhu, whatever game. Hand them the rule book. Give them permission to look through the rule book. Show them the art, show them the rules, ask them, is there anything in this rule book that offends you or upsets you? Because all you're going to encounter in my game are things from this book. So if there's anything in this book you're uncomfortable with, you shouldn't be playing this game, okay? If you come to my table and I show you the 5e Player's Handbook and you say, this piece of art offends me, or this piece of art triggers me, or the idea that I might run into a giant spider triggers my fear of spiders, you probably shouldn't be playing D&D, because there's nothing in the D&D rulebook you're not going to encounter in the game. So, yeah. What did you think was going to happen? LA River. I wonder what's living down there. Okay, so yeah, that's the safety tool. And ask questions, you know, be adults. You know, I've said things in the past and ran encounters that people might have been triggered by, but they approached me as adults either during the break or after the game, brought it to my attention. I apologized, moved on. They didn't leave my game. They didn't have a temper tantrum. The one temper tantrum I ever had was the girl who got upset about the turkey. And again, the encounter was called Night of the Dire Turkey. You are going to be fighting a dire turkey. It's literally the name of the adventure that I run every year for Thanksgiving. So just 4 hours in, you suddenly remember that you're offended by the idea of us killing animals. You weren't offended the other 3 games. Suddenly you remember you're afraid of snakes. You weren't afraid of the snake statue or taking the treasure from the snake cultist. But the chances of you getting killed by giant snakes, suddenly you remember you're offended by snakes. Yeah, no. If there's anything in the player's handbook that offends you, you shouldn't be playing a game. I will help you find a game that doesn't offend you. Now, that's my 2 cents on safety tools. I don't care whether you like them, dislike them. I think we're adults and we've been playing this game for 50 years. If there's something that's upsetting you after 40 some odd years of playing this game, probably should look in the mirror. And I just want to close this little editorial with the same question I posed at the beginning. Okay, we've been playing this game for 50 years. Safety tools showed up about what, 4 or 5 years ago? What depraved, dark crap are you 5e players up to that suddenly you need safety tools when for 40 some odd years we were all adult enough to just go, hey, that upset me. Or, you know what, I was uncomfortable when we ran into giant bees because I'm allergic to bees. Okay, we're adults, so discuss it, fine. I get it, I'm sorry, I didn't know, move on. Great, thanks, I appreciate it. I'm not gonna have a temper tantrum, it's no big deal. Okay, just no more giant bees. It'll be, you know, another giant insect. Oh, okay, you're afraid of giant spiders. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't know the giant spider figure was gonna upset you. I'm switching it to giant scorpion. Is that okay? That's fine. Hey, man, it's fine, you know, it's a game. It's just a little because I'm afraid of spiders, but you know, I'm not gonna have a temper tantrum about it, right? And the DM's like, great, fine, I'm not gonna have a temper tantrum. You know, it could have just been resolved simply, easily. Adults, even kids are like, hey, I don't like that, or hey, you know, don't use that language. I mean, come on, it's just common sense. It's just why session 0 is so important. It's just all about asking questions before the game starts or after the game ends, you know, and having an open, honest communication with your players. And really, just if it's in the rule book and you're offended by it or triggered by it, you probably shouldn't be playing that game. Here, let me help you find a game that doesn't have this in it. And the word dungeon master being offensive because master has some connotation with slavery? No, stop it. I'm not calling myself anything else, okay? I'll call myself game master, game operation director, or you can just call me by my name. Hey, OGGM, I'm moving to that square over there. Oh, okay. But the OGGM stands for game master. No, it doesn't. I've told you what it stood for, and you apparently weren't paying attention. Safety tools. They're just a way for players to stop the game, rewrite the physics of the game so that something bad doesn't happen to their character. And that's what they're being abused for. Now, in regards to the whole Fair Verona, Adam Cobol thing, I've said everything I'm going to say about that. I've made at least 3 different videos about that and multiple blog posts about what I think of that. And it's not pertinent to what we're talking about now. But yeah, just have a session 0. Just know your audience. Just use common sense. If you're running for a bunch of strangers and you don't know anything about them, there's probably certain things you shouldn't say and expose them to until they're, you know, you're more comfortable with them. And how come DMs don't get to use safety tools, huh? Maybe I'm afraid of fire. Did you think about that? Maybe every time you set my monsters on fire, you're triggering my fear of fire. Perhaps I should just say you can't use fireball anymore in my game because it triggers my fear of fire and my PTS from watching, you know, the Thompson fire in 2018 and watching everything I own and get burned up and watching my entire neighborhood go up in flames. I've got PTS from the Thompson fire. Maybe I should ban anything that uses fire in my game. Or maybe I should just be an adult and realize that it's not real. It's imaginary fire. And while I might have PTS because of the Thompson fire, it does not in any way, shape, or form have any effect on a game of make-believe. And what sick shit are you 5e players up to that you need safety tools? See ya!